Wagwan, it's Tea Talks, the podcast where we put the tea into talks. Grab a drink and listen on in. So, people probably are wondering what Tea Talks is going to be about. Well, it's going to be a bunch of mates that get together and have different conversations about different things. So, it might be about social media, culture, family, or just things that are going on in the world. Topics like racism, discrimination to do with people's sexuality, any of that. We're going to be talking about it all. I'm going to introduce the main panel that are going to be on this show. My name is T. I'm 22. I'm a dad and I'm a musician and digital artist / graphic designer.
Hey, I'm KP, I'm 21, recent graduate, 3D artist, and I'm not a dad.
And we're also going to be joined remotely by our mate, Brandon, and he will introduce himself now.
Hey, I'm Brandon. I'm a Bradford lad from up north. Currently a student in Staffordshire learning game development. My interests include playing games, making games, talking about games, and lockpicking.
So, people are probably wondering how we know each other. So, I'm just going to start off with how me and KP know one another. And yeah, we've known each other
10 years.
10 years now.
Yeah,
Jeez, man.
right.
Not getting any younger either. But I don't know if we're going to tell them this. Should we tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, basically, me and KP were not good mates at primary school at all. At all. Arch nemesis kind of thing going on there. Yeah. In my head anyway. Don't know about him. Probably thought I was just some
he wasn't no
dreaders.
competition, man. He wasn't no competition. There was no problem, no issues.
No problem.
Nah, I was good. I was
Anyway, skip a few years. We grew up, and my man sees some YouTube videos that I'm making and stuff, and he's like, "Yo, I do a bit of digital stuff. Do you need any help?" And that's basically where the friendship kind of started off, doing logo design for me and stuff. And that's kind of I was reintroduced back to Brandon. Me and Brandon go back to secondary school, the first 2 years, and then he got infamously kicked out and joined KP in Grange, and the history there between them two, I'm sure Brandon and KP can tell you a story or two.
Campat and Asher are two friends I've known for a large part of my life. I met them both in high school. I met Asher in my first high school. I remember him being very short, but a very, very chill dude. I used to see him around and see him singing and rapping around. He was a really chill dude. I was always with my own crowd, and he was with whoever he was hanging out with at the time. I ended up not being in contact for a long time, but then reconnected. And Campa, I met in my second high school. I still remember the time when I had my first crush in my second high school, and Campa ended up shouting out and in front of the fucking canteen. It was brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, I think actually no. Looking back, I think it was I was reintroduced to you through Brandon actually, because he got kicked out from your school, joined my ends. And then he was like, "Yo, do you know Asher?" I was like, "Yeah, my boy Asher from year 6." He was like, "Yeah." It's like, "No way you know him." He's like, "Yeah, we're in the same school together." So he just put us in I think it was a group chat, wasn't it?
Yeah. On Hangouts.
Yeah.
Not
Google
even
Hangouts,
Facebook.
man.
Because I want allowed social media.
You man are using Zoom, we were on Google Hangouts, man. It was a different time. And yeah, that's how we just reconnected with each other.
It was music, it was me trying to spit freestyle, and we used to just laugh at each other. But yeah, that's how we kind of got to know each other again, kind of all reunited, and yeah, been thick as thieves since 2015, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it was 2015.
Yeah,
that's
mad now.
Long time, man. A lot has happened.
So we're going to discuss our first topic, and Brandon's going to sit this one out. So obviously it's April now, so there's been quite a lot popping off in the UK and American music scene. We've got a few albums we'd like to discuss, and I'll just briefly go through the albums that we're going to discuss. We're going to discuss Chip's album Snakes and Ladders. We're gonna also discuss Ghetts' album Conflicts of Interest, and we're gonna discuss a little about Slow
Tie.
and Pop Smoke and Drake. So first off, we're gonna start off with Chip. Now, Chip's been kind of consistent this year, since like
A few years now, actually.
yeah,
man.
crazy times. I remember like 2015, me and KP, we just used to be messaging each other when he's releasing his diss tracks. Now, I don't know what rock you've been living under, but obviously Chip Diddy Chip has some beef with Stormzy. Now, everyone was expecting like there to be a few digs in this like album.
Yeah.
Expecting maybe like on the grime tunes at least to be more than what we've already had. Cause we had Ignite, we had Flowers, and we had 10 Commandments. But I was expecting maybe another little sneaky shot here and there. But I can't really complain about Chip's album.
I can't either. Plus,
Because-
I think he's done enough. He said, was it Stormzy back to Ghana with his diss tracks? Stormzy's gone back home after all them diss tracks.
So, yeah, I can't really complain about Chip's album. It was versatile. I can say that I couldn't really... You know what it is my only thing that bothers me is I wouldn't really like to call this an album. I would personally like to call it more of like a playlist.
Oh,
But
okay.
just because, like...
It's not as unified as you.
Yeah, it's not as unified. I like it. It's a great body of work. Don't get me wrong, because it shows how versatile it is.
Yeah.
But from a next Chip album, I want a more concise theme. I want it to flow all the way out. Whereas this is like a playlist of like 21 singles, I would say.
Yeah,
That's my only criticism. Out of 10, what would you give it, KP?
Probably about 7. I'd say about 7.5.
Yeah, when I first listened to it, I said 8.5, but now I probably would say about an 8. But
Exactly.
I am a bit of a fanboy.
Yes, I just prefer Ghetts one, that's all. But I would probably score Chip higher, but it's just because I kind of listen to them kind of like back to back.
Yeah.
So I just kind of preferred Ghetts one. But if I listen to them independently of each other, like when they initially came out, then
Yeah.
I'd probably have different opinions of them.
All right. So, obviously, there is no elephant in this room. He's made this album, and I was kind of expecting more from Stormzy than featuring on a Ghanaian rapper's remix. I just think at this point, right, if you want to claim the title of King of Grime or whatever, you have to be doing a direct shot. And I know he thinks he's got the power move, but I think he's losing respect from the core demographic of grime listeners.
Yeah.
Not the mainstream grime listeners, like the people who've been listening to grime since Lord of the Mics and Wiley back in the day.
Yeah.
I just think he's losing that demographic of people's respect just because you're just doing these sneaky little disses. But without hesitation, we're just going to move on to the next album, Conflicts of Interest. Now, I had to actually take my time listening to this because it is deeper than Chips.
Yeah.
Like, with Chips, I could listen to that, like all in one sitting. But I feel like with Ghetts, you've always got to take your time to actually digest what he's saying on his tracks. My favourite song's the one with Ed Sheeran, quite personally. I don't know, it's very reminiscent of the SBTV days, and that's why I like it. And I also like the one with Emily Sandé. I feel like they were two really strong songs that probably gonna get radio play, because obviously it is a masterpiece of an album, but some of them songs won't get radio play just because of what the industry is.
Yeah, especially with the IC3. I think that was my favourite track on the whole album, when he mentioned about people telling him to go back to where he came from. And he was like, yeah, I'll go back as soon as the Queen gives back all the gold that's on her head. And that's a bad line. I know they'll never put that on radio and the people ain't ready for that one. They're not ready to discuss it.
So for me, it's like the whole preference thing. I would say that while Ghetts is probably gonna get a higher rating from me, just because of how it flows, it is an actual album because the themes are running throughout. It does get a higher rating because it is a solid piece of work. I can't say it's not a masterpiece. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. But I will say that I find myself listening to Chips more, but that's why I say his is a playlist because it is just singles and you can keep going back. Whereas Ghetts is a masterpiece, and I guess it's down to personal preference really and to which one you prefer. Because if you're a man that's about lyricism, I would usually go to Chip, but with his album, I can't say that. About deep lyricism, not subtle surface level wordplay. This album just has a better message. I feel like
it's a lot more personal, a lot more deeper. He talks about his personal traumas, the things he's been through, how he's grown as a person, and it's just when he goes into detail about that and any discrimination he's faced, it just it's a lot more to take in if you're listening to the whole album. Was it over and over again?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It is a mature music, a maturer taste. It's like Ghetts just keeps on getting better each time. For that reason, I have to give him a 9 on this occasion. So I think slow tie.
Yeah, slow tie. His album came out recently, and it was just. I just like the fact that with him, he just got such an authentic voice when he's speaking, especially with his accent and everything, because he sounds like a village drunk, but like it's real, isn't it? It's like he's not like pretending to be someone he's not. He's not putting on an accent and all that other stuff. But yeah, he had some good tracks on there. Quite a few American features that I was surprised about. But yeah.
But we're seeing more of that now in the UK scene. Is we're seeing these American collabs, and I think we're in the time really that British rap is actually being appreciated a lot more. Especially a few years ago, I can say like there weren't many faces other than rap faces other than London, but I'm saying like now it's becoming a lot more diverse. We've got the likes of Bugsy, we've got the likes of H. He's got the song with AJ Tracy, and I feel like now the UK rap industry is coming together more, and it's not the north and south divide in terms of music. It's getting less and less, I would say, and it's opening opportunities for all musicians, which I like to kind of see.
Even with for example damn it, this guy's name Dior with a Pop Smoke, right? Even with him, a lot of his music taste, even though it got big worldwide, it's a lot of the influence is UK drill, and it's massive.
But it's beautiful to see that, and I swear if he'd have been alive for a bit longer, we would have seen the UK popping off in America. He would have made that happen. I believe that strongly. Obviously when he blew up, he did do a remix and he featured Stefflon Don and Skepta, and then he's gone on to do a song with a few other UK artists, namely Fredo, and I like that tune.
He's also on Fire in the Booth, wasn't he? With Charlie. So
so I really like to see that the UK scene is popping off. Given that, I can't sit here and say that I'm a big Slow Tie fan.
I'm not gonna expect you to. Because not a lot of people I know listen to Slow Tie.
So I did listen to I did listen to it, but I found myself listening to the American collabs and all of that, And I have to say he was really authentic on it, and I have to say it is a 7 from me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'd even say it was. I liked it overall as well. I'd probably give it around 7.5 as well. I also like the fact that with the Skepta, it's the second album out of the few that we've talked about, where the song he's on, he says something controversial, where or espouse something controversial, and he's on about how they could never cancel him, no matter what he did, because you know how these cancel culture will come for anyone. And he just showed them, I've been doing this thing for more than 10 years. There's no way anyone's gonna cancel Skepta, and I just really like that about the album.
So speaking about cancel culture. Like, have you seen TikTokers recently? Like, the proper try to cancel, like, Eminem. Like, my opinion on that is, like, what's the point? Is known to deliberately write things that are controversial.
Exactly.
Like, it's not his opinions. It's like why at the Grammys, Elton John got on stage and performed with him because he isn't actually homophobic. It's just lyrics. And now, we live in a time now where it seems like people aren't allowed to explore certain viewpoints anymore.
Yeah, they're kind of afraid of saying the wrong thing,
and
I guess.
I mean, that's something to watch out on this podcast, but I feel like I'm hoping that people can just give their self, because I feel like with viewpoints, everyone should just have their viewpoint, and
I mean, there still has to be some limit.
but
like, you have to have common sense.
But it's dangerous
Yeah.
to not even like certain ideologies to cancel people. You need them ideologies exposing so they can be educated. That's my point of view. When you make someone cancel someone so badly, you make them underground, and then they have an underground following that can't be checked, and that is really dangerous. That's why we have things such as terrorism that go on, because it's underground.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Like, even that, what's his name? That, I can't remember his name. The one who was talking about turning the frogs gay, Alex Jones. Like, they took him off of, like, all social media. My man made his own website, and people are funding it. Like, how are you going to cancel someone that has his own, like, funding and everything?
So, with that being said, obviously, there was a few more things we wanted to discuss in terms of, like, music. We was going to discuss a bit about Pop Smoke. So basically, obviously we know his past, but we have listened to his music, and I think it just did prove that he was a new New York rapper. And obviously he's being like given the thumbs up from 50 Cent with him co-producing it and whatnot. I feel like it was a solid piece of work, and I just, what's bittersweet is I knew this was just the start.
Yeah, I mean, he just got big, was it, recently, just last year, and then, bang, there it goes. But one thing I'll say is, I don't like the fact that with his new album, there's so many features that I feel like people are just hopping onto it, just because he's gone.
Yeah, but they did that with
they do that with all
X.
The artists.
They did that with X.
I still don't like it though. Like, indie artists that they do this with, like, as soon as they die, their music streams go up by more than 50%. Like,
appreciate them while they're alive, not when they're dead, kind of thing.
And a lot of people showing fake love, acting like they were best friends with him, when really they just met him one time at a party or whatever, and they get a feature as well.
And the thing about the loss of someone like Pop Smoke, because we did touch on about the evolution of rap, is he was such he was young, but he was an innovator, and you could see where the future of UK and US music was going, and it was going to kind of like, you could see it was on course to blend.
Yeah, I mean, we even have more UK producers going over to America now, because they see there's more opportunities, and like, just both countries just working with each other on this stuff.
And I guess that's what's bittersweet is it's now left up to other people to continue the work that he kind of like started.
Yeah, other people hopped on as soon as he's gone. Like, Dusty Locane kind of came on later on, and I'm shooting, I'm rolling, and I'm moving. Tell all my Leos. Yeah, he came on later on. Fabio was already on Was it before Pop Smoke got big? But
Yeah.
as soon as Pop Smoke passed, he kind of came in and filled in the gap. And so
and it's not to say that there hasn't been international rappers who've worked with UK artists in the past, because that's not what I'm stating. It was because of the way that he was going about things. He was really complimentary of the UK music scene. In his interviews, he would say how he's been influenced by the UK music scene. I can't say that every rapper does that, that's had a feat with someone who's a UK artist. I can say Drake does it, but it just didn't come across as authentic.
Yeah, Drake kind of puts on the accent and everything in it.
Yeah.
Like Drake will act like he's been with you since birth and come through with an accent and everything. And he'd even wear black Air Forces.
So speaking about Drake, obviously we're actually awaiting his album to drop.
Yeah.
So we can't really discuss too much, but it did give us
3 songs.
It did give us 3 songs, and what can I say? It did smash it out the park.
Yeah. He's just getting hits like somebody pitching underhanded. Like someone just honestly, like, he's been in this for more than 10 years or something, right? And it still feels like he's halfway through like his journey, or he's just getting started.
That's what you can't hate about him, is he's good at what he does. You just can't hate on him. He's been consistent about it. And you know what it is? I feel like the one with Rick Ross, the freestyle.
Yeah.
Oh man, I had to just loop that over and over. And it's 6 minutes, you know. So it is a hefty listen, but I did loop it.
He's done that a few times with Rick Ross, hasn't he? Was it If I Die, Put My Money in the Grave? And like a few of the he loves Rick Ross. They've been together for time.
I think Rick Ross is hard. I really do.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah, for real, underrated.
Maybach music.
Anyway, so we're gonna move on from the music segment, kind of.
Yeah.
Now, what's been popping off recently is Lil Nas X. Now, like, he didn't make a shoe. Let's clarify. He's just endorsing a shoe by the Mischief line. They made a Jesus shoe before this just to put out there, and it had water in it.
Yeah.
And it's got kind of a lot of backlash from the hip-hop community, not just the religious community. I want your take on it, really, because I know my take, but...
Well, honestly, I don't even know why the hip-hop community would be so pressed about it. Like, I mean, I will say there's definitely a lot of homophobia in those communities. But the fact that even Lil Nas, he's talked about this, how he's had to face so much homophobia from people in his neighborhood, his family, just everyone around him. And now that he's actually big enough to not care about these opinions because he's not dependent on them. Let him do what he wants to do. Like, he can finally do what he wants to do.
And this is what my problem is like, obviously both grown up in households that do practice religion.
Yeah.
And while now I wouldn't say, I would, out of respect for proper Catholics and proper Rastas, I couldn't put myself in either of them boxes. I'd have to class myself as someone who's spiritual. Yeah. But even knowing that, like, I still can't hate on a man, because my problem with people who are hating on him because of your religion teaches peace, love, and not to judge. He without the first sin can cast the first stone. Y'all are sinning yourself. So whether you deem homosexuality a sin or not is on you.
I mean,
but for me, like, I'm not even gonna get into that. All I'm gonna say is you shouldn't be judging man like that. Now, the only point I do kind of understand about it is he did have quite a young audience. So I understand them people that are saying, oh, rah, to do with a music video more than the shoe, like, oh, rah, you've done this without no pre-warning and blah blah blah. But I still feel like that's hypocritical too, because if you actually listen to the lyrics of his music, your child shouldn't be listening to him anyway. However, they can kind of counter, because he's done a few Roblox concerts and stuff like that. So if you want to be an adult artist, you wouldn't be targeting that demographic.
Yeah. I mean, but then again, have you listened to Old Town Road? The lyrics, he's talking about smashing girls and getting high while sipping lean. Like,
Yeah, I know it's not about, you know what I mean? But this is the
why are they going to complain about that? You shouldn't be sipping lean.
So this is the problem though about modern society. You want to tell artists on what they can what they can sing about, when you're in charge of your child.
Yeah.
You're in charge in what your child digests in terms of music, videos, everything. And as a parent, I know that, because I do watch what my son's watching, and I do watch what he's listening to, because all these things are important. So you can't really blame him as such, but it do take advantage. But that's probably more of a business thing.
Like, that's a marketing thing. Like, the thing is, right, with all these people who are complaining, they're doing exactly what he wants. Because of them, he's getting 10 times the amount of views.
But that's his plan.
No, I mean, was it with them, the people that are complaining? You should know this. He's not the first artist to do something controversial. And we all know that.
And he won't be the last.
He won't be the last. And we all know, if they know that if you complain about it on social media, it goes on trending. So really, you're just... And with the shoe, right? Most of the people complaining, it's out of your price range. Keep to your 9 to 5. You can't afford this. It's like $1,000.
So speaking of devils, Demi Lovato's new YouTube documentary has come out. I've watched bits and bats of it, and it does talk about her addiction, and it's really eye-opening to watch if you have got time to sit and watch it. And it does kind of give you an example of what being a child star can do to you. With that being said, we're going to briefly mention the Prince Harry situation. So if you've not been living under a rock, they did do an interview with Oprah. I watched it. Did you, Camper?
Yeah.
So basically, it just kind of proves what we've all felt inside for a long time. And to be quite honest, I liked the Fire in the Spoof thing that they did.
Yeah.
A bunch of artists, namely Dialect, made a song about the situation. And if you haven't listened to it, I feel like you need to go listen to that.
Yeah.
But I feel like that whole thing of racism in Britain, at least, they deny it. They deny it in the UK, which is like, no, this country's not racist. It's like, bruh, you had the British Empire, you still got the Commonwealth. How are you lot not racist? And then shocked and flabbergasted when your main boy, Hazza, is telling you what we've all thought. And then other stories are coming out now to distract from that point. And I guess that's what we're going to talk about in the next podcast, is racism.
Yeah.
So we are going to end this podcast here. It has been nice talking to you all. And I hope you do like this first episode, because the next episode is going to be a lot deeper. It's going to go into racism.